Microtransactions in Far Cry 5 just say it ain't so. Microtransactions suck, but a lot of companies justify them by saying, hey, it's not going to affect any gameplay, or hey, it's cosmetic only, but that is not true at all. The microtransactions in Far Cry 5, although we do not know what they're going to be exactly, are going to be quote-unquote time-saving real money items. So they want us to pay extra money to speed through their game. Having people spend extra money to play less of a game should be a big red flag to anyone who knows anything about games, business, or just has a lick of common sense. Just like Assassin's Creed Origins, Far Cry 5 is going to have some sort of booster mechanic that you can pay $1 or $2 for to probably make the grinding or the leveling easier. It also may have some items you can buy to make the grind faster, but either way though, you're paying to skip game content, and that is really suspicious, don't you think? This video is going to talk about one thing because this is a point that everyone needs to understand. If developers are asking you to pay money to skip their game content, they're essentially suggesting that the video game they developed isn't worth playing. Skip this game section or speed through my game for money because, well, it's worthless. That's because it's important to think about the implications that lead to that design. If you can just replace the gameplay for money, then it's in the developer's best interest to make sure that the gameplay is as annoying as possible so that you'd rather pay money instead. Do we really want games to be designed as annoying or fun? The smart publisher is going to implement systems which encourage you to pay money. Why wouldn't they? If they didn't want to make a bunch of money by having you buy boosters, why put them into the game? To make it convenient for people to speed through it? Don't be naive, that is pretty much just sugarcoating the idea. The fact is that gameplay time should never have a value attached to it because you should never desire to want to skip past it. If a game is good, we should desire to play it and to want to play more of it. In order for someone to believe that, a video game indeed needs to be undesirable. This is critical because that gameplay would be intentionally designed to be undesirable in order to profiteer off of that idea. Paying not to play a video game is the biggest ripoff in modern day video games. There's no guarantee that the end game hasn't been messed with in order to fuel that system. That's what you have to be cautious of, this conscious mishandling of a game that may or may be not taking place. The truth is, we're never gonna know, but the reality being it's most likely influencing Far Cry's pacing, leveling, and questing. Just the sheer notion that a booster is in a video game directly implies that the game should be boosted through. You might not even need them, but the general message remains. So often in games you have this creeping, cold sensation that the general flow of the game has been stretched out, like butter scraped over too much bread, encouraging time-saving microtransactions simply because the game is too much of a chore to be bothered with. Time-saving microtransactions are the unwanted black marks tied to mobile games that are constructed around saving you the hassle of simply wasting your life away waiting for content walls to drop. It's grinding through pointless, predefined barriers simply to cash in on the very small percentage of players who say, screw this man, I can't take this anymore, have my money. Far Cry 5 though, it's a $60 game, probably more with all the pre-order stuff, so adding this mobile cash-in system to the adventures is something I find very eerily dirty in idea anyway. If you want to go out and buy a booster for a video game, go ahead. Just know that you shouldn't have to in a fully priced game because it should be stretched out to pace for your satisfaction, not for your wallet. The second we get used to having our games tinkered with behind closed doors is kind of the day video games become money puzzles to publishers. Not a puzzle to make a really enjoyable game, but a practice of how to make a game as laborious as possible without raising too much suspicion. That way they can bank all the money they want quietly and without much resistance. The sheer fact that they exist and are advertised on the pause screen of many of our favorite games is simply an admission that it's all fine and dandy for them. Just like Forza or Origins, you get the sensation that it's just an excuse to make the game crappier on purpose, all the while making more money while doing so. This kind of crap rubs me the wrong way, and probably for some of you too. I'm someone who values my time above everything else, and I cherish games that respect my time. I enjoy games that are paced well, aren't filled with pointless grinding, or ones that plant hurdles in the way of my enjoyment. A booster seems like such a tiny thing, but it's a freaking detonator for a bigger cause. Many games featuring boosters have had their progression curves broken and beat up, making all the challenge in question. It feels like moot and ironically does the exact opposite of its intention. A booster doesn't save anyone's time, it wastes it. It makes everyone grind for a little bit longer, play for a little longer than it takes to have some fun. It's an artificial friend that is secretly the enemy. Sometimes these systems are not that intrusive and many people won't even know about them, case in point Watch Dogs 2. But it does breed speculation into how clean the hands that make our games are, and if games truly could have been better without them. In my opinion, boosters should never be put in a video game. Fearing that all single-player games will become free-to-play grinds isn't out of the question. The bar has been raised, and paid items in video games have pushed many of my favorite open-world games into nothing more than just busy work. By adding time-saving boosters, it's simply an admission of guilt that the game was not designed correctly. And if we continue to be silent about it, this trend, I fear, will only continue. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Peace, love, happiness. Till then.